Fight and Talk back again, and today I'm absolutely delighted to say I'm joined by Peter Irving. Anybody who knows anything about UK combat sport would have heard Peter Irving's name somewhere. So Peter, if we go sort of right back to the very start, Elzik, what was it that drew you to combat sport? What was the first combat class?
It wasn't really combat sports that I was interested in. It was because it wasn't really a thing at the time. I mean, of course, it was boxing and Muay Thai and stuff like that. But like MMA wasn't a thing. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu didn't exist over here, and I was a punk rocker, and I lived in Elzik. It's just not like it's a little bit rough. So I was getting into fights all the time. Not always my fault, mostly not my fault, but still I was getting into fights all the time. And I thought, well, if I'm getting into fights, I want to be winning them. So I thought I just want to learn to handle myself, So I started training with the guys at the AFC. We had a little group together. One of the guys had before VHSs and before camera phones and stuff like that. Everything was on VHS, and people were just taking like photographs on like those handheld cameras. The way you get like get them back in 2 weeks' time, and they were hit and miss. So like one of the guys had photographs of himself fighting on some show. So, wow man, is that legal? And he said, I don't know, nobody stopped us. I said, what? You get money for it? I said, oh yeah. So, oh great, can you get me a fight? I didn't know anything. I went there, fought, and I got my ass kicked. I had no idea what I was doing at all. So I started off and I was just like fighting, like hitting, missing, and I win some and lose some. So I thought, I need to learn this properly. And I got lucky. I met Crezo de Souza. Crezo was one of the really great classic Gracie black belts from that magic era, where they had the invincible team. And Crezo fought in the Duel of the Titans, which was the pivotal combat between Libre and Jiu-Jitsu. And Crezo was victorious over Julio de Oliveira, who was like broadly considered to be like the most technical of the Libre fighters. And Crezo really schooled him, and Julio was great, so that was massively impressive. So I'd seen that. Well, actually, I'd seen Julio fight, and I couldn't believe that he'd been Julio. And then when I met him, I found out that he fought Dan Henderson. I couldn't believe this little guy. He's like he fought. I think he fought at like lightweight and welterweight, but really he was a featherweight. And I couldn't believe that this guy fought Dan Henderson, give him a good shot too. And I thought, I've got to train with this guy. He's my hero. I need to learn from him. So I went over to Brazil. And of course, when I told Crezo, I think he was thinking like, everybody says, oh, it's my dream to train in Brazil. Blah, blah, blah. He said, yeah, sure, come, I'll train you. And so I went. I packed up everything. I had nothing here anyway. I had no life. There's nothing good. So I went over there. I packed up everything, sold everything that I had, and I just called Crezo and said, I'm here. So right, come and train. And that was it. Crezo just completely changed my life. Everything changed after that.
I think there's a video still as well on YouTube of you when you were at Crezo's gym in doing your training out there.
Oh yeah, that was much later. That was where I went back for like a training camp. I was going to fight, I think it was Daniel Weichel, who turned out to be pretty good. He had a bit of a renaissance and is doing really well again. But yeah, I went out there to train and like to live there. So I played the visa game for a couple of years. I'd come back, make some money, go back and just train all the time. Incredible life. I was really lucky to get to do that.
I think you're one of probably a handful of UK athletes who's also had the opportunity to train with Anderson Silva. And I know you had quite an interesting anecdote about him when you were training together in the elbow.
Oh man, that was unbelievable. No, I didn't get to train with Anderson a lot. I went there for like it was when I was going for like a training camp, and I went to X Gym for like a week. So I really can't say that I was like training with Anderson Silva probably. But they took us all down, and it was a massive place, and it was just full of pro fighters. They were all the time. They were just training really hard with a lot of guys. And I got lucky. I got invited to go in. I had a big crack with the Thai boxing coach, and he invited me out of the sort of beginners classes and said, "Oh, come to the fighters training." And they took a look at me for a few rounds, and he said, "Oh, come and give some rounds to Anderson." I couldn't believe it. I was made out, and this is when Anderson was like really at the height of his powers. Like he was just supernaturally good, and he did the thing that he typically does, like in fights. So he said, "Oh, come on, just hit me a little bit." And I thought, I don't want to try it on, but he just wanted to have a look at what I was going to do, how I threw my punches and what my range was. So I just hit him a few times. He said, "Right, okay, let's go," and he just made a total fool of me. And I remember watching Rich Franklin like get just knee the bits off him from the Thai clinch. And then the second fight, I thought, okay, Rich Franklin's going to have gone and trained with some good Thai boxers now. He surely is going to have learned this. And he got absolutely mullered in exactly the same way. And I was thinking, what was he thinking? There's nobody that Thai clinches like Anderson. I mean, I've trained with some very, very good Muay Thai fighters and decent clinchers, you know. And the way that he puts that Thai clinch on into something else and manipulates your neck in a different way, in different planes, and I can see exactly how he got caught out. Now, it's same with Forrest Griffin, you know, when you look at him, he's just standing there, just getting hit, and you think, like, just looks like a rabbit in a headlight. Yeah. But Anderson throws out so much peripheral information that it's completely impossible to calculate what he's doing. So you just get stuck, you get just recycled back to your calculations, and you can never get off. So yeah, so he was mixing up his footwork on me. He was doing the alley shuffle. He did like a capoeira jinga, and then spun, and he whipped his elbow like right up. Like, I'm not doing it because I don't trust myself, you know. No, but he whipped his elbow like right up, and he stopped like this close to my chin, and he just winked at me. So I thought, oh man, could have just knocked me out, easy, you know. But he was really lovely, you know, because the gym was so hot. We were like. We were just sweating, and I wasn't acclimatized, so I was sweating even more. And the canvas was slipping under my feet all the time. It was just slipping and sliding, and he stopped, and I thought, oh, he's gonna tell me to get out. So I was really devastated because I wasn't giving him a workout at all. You know, like I was just, you know, making a mockery of me, and I thought he was just gonna say, get this kid out. It's not good. And he stopped because he knew I was slipping, and he took my foot and he dried it off on his t-shirt. Yeah. And then the other foot, and he took it off, dried my feet. I said, okay, you good to go? Let's go. I thought, man, what a guy, you know. He was really like had a real presence about him. And obviously I was already impressed that he was Anderson Silva, and I was there with him. You know, so I was a little bit starstruck, but he really was like had a bit of an aura, you know.
How much do you think training out in Brazil helped your development as a fighter, as opposed to a combat athlete who's stayed in the UK and trained at that time?
Well, I don't know. At the time, to be honest, the training wasn't great. You know, people don't need to leave the UK, not necessarily. You know, it's not a bad idea. You know, but they don't necessarily have to. I think Conor McGregor proved that. You know, like he stayed in Ireland, he stuck with his group, so that you can get good training here. I think it helped me more, like, just personally, just to experience a little bit more life, you know, and just to be part of see a different culture, learn a different language, because nobody spoke English there when I got there. So the first 3 months I was there, it was a little bit lonely. I just couldn't speak to anybody really, and so I had to learn, and I think it enriched my life a lot. You know, it's sort of, let's see, the fight didn't exactly liberate me from economic poverty, right? Yeah. But from the mental poverty of not having any ambition, of not having any knowledge, you know, just to constantly learn all the time, that it was incredible.
And now you look at the development of the sport, I guess, from when you were training back with Anderson and his prime to now, where mixed martial arts is at in terms of mainstream sport, I guess. What do you make of the development? Did you see that coming? Did you see mixed martial arts becoming a mainstream sport?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much the popularity explosion of MMA has really impacted the gyms themselves. I don't really see more fighters. Maybe my perception is skewed. I never did a number count, you know. But I think there's more people watching it. There's more people aware of it. You know, like there's Ronda Rousey and McGregor and all that has made the public consciousness more aware. But I don't think more people are coming through the door and saying, I want to be a fighter. If anything less, I think people realise that it's too hard and that you're probably not going to make any money. But I mean, everybody wants the photo taken for the Facebook picture with the gloves on and stuff like that. You know? So you go and do like charity ones and stuff like that shit. But yeah, no, but real MMA, I think it's more in the public consciousness for fans, but not necessarily for athletes.
And Peter, for you, it wasn't just MMA. You've had Muay Thai fights. You've fought in competed in a lot of different aspects of combat sports. Have you got one in particular that sort of, I guess, stands out for you?
You know, my absolute favourite format to compete in was K1 style kickboxing. You know, like I love Muay Thai, but it's too short. You know, like essentially Thai boxing is a contest of who can be the tallest and longest at the weight. You know, and I just definitely wasn't. So the K1 style suited me a little bit better. maybe not. It was 3 rounds, and I was kind of like a 5-round fighter in 3 rounds. But still, it's just really good fun. Like but it's much less sort of scientific. Muay Thai has got more craft, more elements. MMA has got innumerable elements. Boxing actually kind of prefer to watch. A lot of the time, I prefer to watch boxing. But K1 style to get involved in, you just line up your lead foot, back foot, lead foot, and whoever throws the most kicks and punches wins. It's great fun, and nothing spoils a good fight like somebody tackling your legs and keeping you squashed on the bottom. So I had an absolutely fantastic time. But now in terms of studying it, there's not that much more to it. Actually, if you get somebody who's like pretty game, pretty physical, you can turn out a fighter in like 6 months. Muay Thai is a work of years. MMA is a work of a lifetime. So, and then on the flip side of that, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is my favorite art to study. There's so many possibilities. It really, people say Jiu-Jitsu is endless. It really is. So I never get bored with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But I got bored of BJJ competitions. You go there and you sit around, and the tannoy goes up, was that me? Shit, and then you cool down again after one fight, and then you wait, or maybe you go all the way there, you get one fight and you're eliminated, like not a fight, like a 5-minute bout. It's just boring. And even to be honest, Jiu-Jitsu it's an incredible art to be involved in. It's really fascinating, to feel everything that's happening. But it's a thing to feel, not a thing to watch. I can probably count on one hand the amount of fights that I've seen that I'm actually excited about having seen. One fight that I fought on the Mundials when I was a blue belt, and I got trounced. I never won anything in Jiu-Jitsu. It was really useful for me actually as an MMA fighter. That was kind of the point of me fighting all these different things, was to develop as an MMA fighter. And it was really useful to iron out the kinks in competition mentality and stuff like that. But I got trounced every time in Brazil. I never won anything. And then I was just hanging around there because I paid the entry. I could go back the next day and watch the black belt fights. And it was a day that Jacare fought Roger Gracie, and Jacare broke his arm.
Yeah.
Man, so a lot of Jiu-Jitsu people would say that Roger Gracie won, but you had to give it to Jacare. He had it on points, But it was unbelievable. But you couldn't believe the atmosphere, The Tishuka Tennis Club, which is kind of like, it's like what the York Hall is to boxing in England. And Jacare's fans were like, they were beating, like they had like drums and everything like that, and they were beating on the stands, so you could hear them all, like it was like the concrete was reverberating. You just go, Jacare, Jacare, and they were running up and down with the big flag with his logo on, so it was like a football stadium, completely incredible. So I sat right next to them, so it was just like soaking it in. It was the most exciting Jiu-Jitsu fight I've ever seen, but most of the rest of them just suck. As a spectator, it's a terrible sport to watch.
You've competed all over the world, you've got many different aspects, and now you're on that coaching side of things. Now, of course, we're sitting here in your gym.
Yeah.
How do you find that, I guess, as opposed to fighting? Do you enjoy it more? Do you enjoy it less? Does it help you?
It's different. It's different. And I won't lie, no offense to any of my people that I train or I really care for. It's not the same. I don't love it half the way that I love fighting. If I could still fight, I would. But it's, I could, but I'd be like doing BKB or something like that, like just jobbing on. So that time's over. You gotta accept it at some point. It's better that you accept it sooner rather than later. And so I took a little break out of MMA fighting because just the injuries were piling up and I wasn't being able to perform, and it was just being miserable. And that's when I went into K1 fighting. I moved over to Semtex Gym in Kent, and that was one of the best times of my life. That was a great gym. I was training. I went initially to train with Kieran Kettle, fantastic coach. But I ended up working more with Steve Gladstone, and that was brilliant. Like Steve was just, sometimes you just meet people that like you just get along with. When we talked about our lives, it was like Steve had the same life that I had almost, and it was brilliant. We used to do pads every day, and I just loved it. I wasn't the greatest kickboxer in the world, but I was okay. I could give anybody a shot. So I thought, I'll just do that for a couple of years, just so that I don't get ring rusty. And actually, I had more fun, I had more pleasure out of just being a circuit fighter and jogging away, boxing on the road, than I did actually fighting as an MMA fighter when I was full of ambition. It was great. I forgot what was my point. What was I trying to?
About coaching.
About coaching. Oh yeah. I just want to talk about fighting. Yeah, coaching. It's a different thing. And it's filled with different disappointments. And people say like, oh, the gym's all we're family, and then people come, people go, and it is kind of a family, but it's a transient family, and it's impermanent, and it's you just have to come to terms with that and accept that. So also coaching is a big responsibility, you know, and I've always had conflicted feelings about fighting in general, about violence in general, and I was sort of able to reconcile it for myself, but I'm not sure that I can do that on behalf of other people. And to be honest, when people come in and they say, oh, I want to be a fighter, you know, I want to fight, I want to do this for a living. So, look, I'll be honest, you know, maybe they're part of the way into the journey and they get a serious injury or something like that, or they're thinking about turning professional. And I have to tell them, so I'll be honest, if you think that you can live a happy and satisfied life doing absolutely fucking anything else other than MMA fighting, do it. Do that, commit to it, and don't look back. You know? Because you're probably not going to make a lot of money, and you're almost certainly going to get really badly hurt. It's like it's, you know, at some point, varying degrees. You know, like fighting smashed me to bits, and I don't regret it at all because I love it. You know, I loved every minute of it, and if I could go back and do it again, I would go and do it all again and pay the same price. You know, I'd be happy with signing that off. But it's not for everybody, you know, and I don't want to see people turn out where they've lived their lives and put in this massive dedication and put in dedication that would have made them rich and made them successful in some other field, and just for whatever reason, you know, they zig when they should have zagged, you know, they don't get the little bit of luck that they should have had, they get an injury, something like that, and that's it. You're basically the stacking shelves, you know. So coaching's a tough thing because I'm telling people, I'm saying, oh, hey, come train in my gym. Oh, but you don't want to do this. Yeah. But, you know, we've got jiu-jitsu here, you know, and a lot of the guys who come train jiu-jitsu, you know, some of them like to compete, and some of them are just, you know, the guys like me, you know, the family men in the mid-30s, even early 40s, and they just come just to stay a little bit in shape and be part of something, and it's fantastic. And it's a different kind of satisfaction, you know, but it's less pressure.
You mentioned BKB. It's on the rise in somewhat with Jason Knight, blah blah. We've got a lot of the boys from the UFC. Mark Godbeer's moved over. Brad Pickett's had a fight. Where do you stand on it as a combat sport? Do you see it as sport or where?
Yeah. I mean, you guys watch Jack Slack, right? No. Okay. Jack Slack, great MMA analyst, journalist.
Okay.
And he was talking about it on his podcast the other day, and he said like, oh, I really want BKB to be great, but it's not. It's shit. and what you end up with is, you know, over the hill boxers versus over the hill MMA fighters, and it's not what you want it to be. Like I'm like a real geek on fighting history, you know, and of course English pugilism, you know, like old-fashioned pugilism is a part of that, you know, and you kind of want technical boxing to be that, but it's not. It's 2-minute rounds of just getting stuck in. Yeah. And on what I've just said, that I love K1 because it's that. Do you know what I mean? And then I even fought K1 a couple of times in MMA gloves, which is, to all intents and purposes, it's the same thing. It's bare knuckle, you know, and I had a fantastic time. But it's still shit, you know. It's and I know they're doing a better job of marketing it, but you know, you can polish it. You know, you can't polish it to it, but you can roll it in glitter. That is about the top and bottom of it. It's not a good sport, unfortunately. Which is a shame because, you know, like, you know, I concur with Jack Slack. I really want it to be good. Mm-hmm.
You do a lot of work as well now. We were talking about your coaching before with Left Hook, I believe the organisation was called. I don't know, do you still work with Left Hook?
I've been down in Left Hook. I go over to Europe a lot. There's a tournament called Freedom Fighters in Poland that I go to regularly. There's various others. I've been to Greece, Germany. So there's quite a big anti-fascist fighting scene, particularly in Europe. It's starting to happen in the UK, but it's really big in Europe.
For people who don't know about Left Hook as an organisation or things like that, can you sort of explain what it is that?
There's a network of independent leftist, you would say, gyms. They're essentially anti-fascist, and just people get together and train self-defense, train sports fighting, train MMA, jiu-jitsu, Thai boxing, and and that's basically it. So I go and do some seminars, I do some refereeing gigs, that sort of stuff. And that's pretty much it.
In lastly, Peter, sort of where we are at now with MMA, the UFC just hit that 25-year anniversary. I know combat sports is the thing's been a lot longer than that, but MMA sort of 25 years from now, where do you see the sport at?
No, I mean, I should know because it's my business. I really should have made some predictions, you know, and I would love to say, I'm absolutely confident that it's going to be a massive going concern, and the UK is going to produce loads of great champions, and they'll all be rich and superstars. I have no idea. You never know. These shows, like, they look good, and then it turns out that the financial bag has been arrested by Vladimir Putin or something like that, and it all just disappears. You know, TV companies, you know, they're all in, and then they just pull the plug on stuff. You just don't know. It's such a hard thing to make a living at, you know. And people love to hear all this shit about, like, don't let anybody, you know, shit on your dreams, you know. Believe in yourself, and it's all gonna happen. All this Tony Robbins hype bullshit. You're like, chances are it's not. You want to be an MMA fighter, you better just fucking love having fights. You know? I fought in America when I was a kid. I can't remember, I was like 25 or something like that. And I got there, and there's all these American guys going like, hey, yeah, I'm just fighting until my rap album drops. And they go like, oh yeah, I'm talking to Jamie Foxx. I'm gonna be the next big thing. I'm going to Hollywood. And I'm like, am I the only person here that's actually here to fight because I like fighting? Like, everybody else seems to be like wanting to launch some kind of like entertainment career off the bat, which obviously, like, I was the fucking idiot at the time. I thought, these guys are daft. What are they doing? Like, why are they not just wanting to fight? Well, I was the fool. But anyway, yeah, the fighting thing. Well, people have done it in reverse now, right?
Yeah,
that's it.
Tyron Woodley's just released his raps and killing.
Yeah. But I guess that's the tragedy of it, right? Where, like, you got Eddie Bravo, who, like, kind of likes jiu-jitsu, but, like, he really sort of did it as a conduit for releasing his really unpopular bands. Which is great, good on him. But you can tell what he really wanted to be was a rock star, and then he accidentally ended up being amazing at jiu-jitsu. He's like, oh, I'll have to settle for that to get my message out. And then, oh God, I wish I'd been accidentally successful about him. But yeah. I can't remember what my point was again.
Where's MMA going to be?
Where's MMA going to be? I have no fucking idea. It might completely disappear. And if the charity MMA 8-week courses keep going, we're probably going to get made illegal. Because as far as I understand it, the only reason why we're legal in the first place is because of some weird old legislation covering prize fight. You know, like, I think, like, so we're not really legal. We're just not criminal. Well, so really we've got no governing body protecting us. I mean, you've got that really the tragic case of I've forgotten the guy's name, Carvalho, I believe, who died in a show on Ireland.
Right. Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so in the wake of that, which they did have not a governing body, but they had a federation covering it, which kind of helped in talks with the government. I think John Kavanagh did a great job of following through with all that stuff, and the safe MMA thing came about. The flip side of that has been that it's made it extraordinarily expensive for fighters to get off to get going. Now, I'm not down on increased medical checks. You know, like that's a wonderful thing, but the economics have got to work out. You know, and if guys are not making any money anyway, if guys are actually losing money on fight camps, they're just speculating on the hopes that they're going to have a big future. Adding extra costs doesn't really quite work out. Promoters are not making loads of money off MMA shows. For the most part, they're really not. That's it. They're doing a lot of work for actually very little, and most of them are doing it because they love it. So they can't foot the bill, you know. So who's going to pay for all of this extra stuff? So what we've had is like a really heavily peer regulated scene, which mostly been done by the internet. You know, like the Cage Warriors forum, and now of course, you know, Facebook makes everything public. So everybody just kind of checks on each other and makes sure that nobody's pulling too much shit. And you get some cowboy acts out there, and they get roundly slated by the MMA community, the proper community of professional promoters who follow things basically just as laid down by the UFC. So if any tragedy does happen, you say, this is awful, but we took every step reasonable that they do in the US that has proper athletic commissions, etc., etc. Now I'm not saying like, there's a load of problems with getting the governing body together, and I can't see that happening anytime soon. But chucking Chavez off the street, who've had 8 weeks of training, where you're going to get some poor kid who's just totally deluded and thinks, oh, these guys are saying it's okay, so it's okay, I'll go ahead and do it. And then you're going to get some other Chavez who've had a bunch of Thai fights or unlicensed boxing fights, and they go, well, I'm going to just go and knock out some mug in the MMA debut so that I can tell people I'm a cage fighter. You see, in an amateur fight in the US, you're a legitimate amateur fight as well. This was a licensed amateur, because they've got a proper licensing program even for amateurs. A guy turned himself the wrong way out of the guillotine and spiked himself and became paraplegic. And that was a guy who legitimately trained in a legitimate gym and was a licensed amateur. And that happened to him because he was inexperienced and he made a terrible decision. And guys who had 8 fucking weeks, in a packed gym, they get like 2 sessions a week or some bullshit like this. It's a fucking disgrace. And I probably know people who are running them in the gyms, because all the gyms need to make money. Everybody does. It's not an easy business, so it's an easy, quicker, and all those guys are the first time fighters, so they sell more tickets. That's what first time fighters do. But fuck, you can't teach guys MMA in the 80s. I couldn't teach them the most fundamental things. I might think about letting guys have a roll in jiu-jitsu off of their knees after 8 weeks. Man, it's a joke. It's a disgrace. And anyone who's running these things, you can't love the sport. You can't love the sport. And you can't be interested in the longevity of this sport and the reputation of this sport. You're just thinking like, quit. Yeah, they want to show shit.
Peter, thank you very much for your time, mate.
Thank you.